Hey everybody, happy Thanksgiving. Stat Sisters is taking a week off, but we have some Stat Sisters Thanksgiving leftovers for you to enjoy. So we have some things that were cut out of other podcasts and some bloopers for you that we have spliced together so that you can have your leftovers while you're having your Thanksgiving leftovers. And we hope you have a great time with your family, friends, and if you're working, I'm solidarity because I think I'm going to be working too. I'm on call tomorrow, but I think I'll be there. So it's a nurse life. So anyway, enjoy, and we will see you with a brand new episode next week. Bye bye. Hi, welcome to Stat Sisters. My name is Carrie, and I talk each week with my sister Erin about all things nursing, with the occasional Harry Potter thrown in. We talk about the nursing topics that you care about. We also chat about nurses in the news, and most importantly, answer your questions.
Okay, so you take us home, Carrie. Come up with something good. All right, Carrie's gonna take us home with our final topic.
Wow, no
We ready to?
pressure.
I know. Get your socks knocked off here. Get your knickers ready.
Well, speaking of no pressure, um, people do have pressure, blood pressure, and they also have usually checkups for that. And I'm wondering if they go get checked out for stuff. Like, do witches go get their pelvic exams? Like, do they have well
Right.
women's, well witches?
Yeah. Well, witch your well witch checkup every year annually,
Yeah, and do they,
and babies and
yeah, do they do that? And do they check the same things? Are they getting a pap smear or something totally different?
were they checking like your magic levels or something?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. D Does menopause
Like,
affect how well you can do magic?
I think it probably affects your temperament and maybe the power of your spells.
Oh, oh yeah.
I think I could see that being almost like Ariana Dumbledore, where her magic just kind of exploded out of her in fits and bursts, or like young children when they're first learning their magic and it first manifests and they can't really control it. We see that with Harry and Aunt Marge, and that's what isn't even intentional. I could see like menopause doing the same thing, like you're yelling at your husband because he didn't put the toothpaste away, and then all of a sudden, you've like shrunk his nose or
I
something.
know.
And you're like, I'm sorry, I'm just having a hot flash.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, like when Hermione, she gets so mad at Ron because he's all snogging Lavender Brown, and then
Ugh.
she's like killing birds and stuff.
What was that all about? That was Hermione on the dark side.
I know.
Step away from the dark
I
side.
know. Yeah, I bet hormones like play a big role.
It's got to. I mean, honestly, hormones have got to be a whole. I mean, because we know immaturity and emotional regulation makes a difference, and hormones lead to emotional irregulations. I
Yeah,
don't know. I think you just discovered a new topic here.
I know. That's like a whole new specialty.
Boom. Endocrinology for magic.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
yes. Okay, so um, we're going to talk a little bit about physician and nurse like collaboration and communication. And I went to a conference recently for A1, and one of the guest speakers was talking about this Henry Kissinger quote about there's no permanent enemies and no permanent friends. And that really struck me because I feel sometimes that physicians like are never going to understand nursing and nursing is never going to understand physicians, and we're like we have the same goals, but we're
Mm-hmm.
like on two way different playing fields.
Right, which is so crazy because I think for non-medical people, that must just seem so bizarre because it looks like we have the same goals. We're on the same team, literally. We're trying to accomplish, we want ultimate health for our patients, but our training is so different. The way we're trained is so different. And just you're right, there's just so many discrepancies between the two. It's completely different worlds.
It is. So I have an example of something that happened to me recently.
Ooh.
Um, there's a secret in nursing that maybe patients don't know, but all nurses know it. That you have to be, as a nurse, you have to know your job and you also have to know the physician's job because part of your job is making sure that they do their job the right way.
True that.
And this, it doesn't make any sense to me. It never has. And this is like my soapbox. Sorry, I'm going to get up on it right now.
Do you need a step stool?
I don't understand this concept. Like, for example, in OB, physicians or midwives, but we're just going to talk about physicians. Physicians deliver babies. And nurses care for moms throughout the whole progression of labor and delivery and postpartum, but we have a different role. And if a physician is delivering the baby incorrectly, we have a responsibility ethically to stop them.
Right.
But at the same time, we don't get trained to deliver babies.
Right. We don't go through medical school and then nursing school.
Right. So this whole dynamic is very odd to me. And also, we don't get trained to deliver babies, yet we deliver babies without physicians all the time. And we're expected to do that because we have to care for the patients. But yet, it's like kind of like they pretend like it's never going to happen.
Right. Right. Like,
But then it does.
unattended deliveries.
I can't even count
What?
how many babies I've caught.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know the number. And it's just so weird to me that is how it is. And if something happens, and there's like a poor outcome, a nurse that has a 2-year nursing degree and maybe 6 months of experience is fully expected to prevent a physician from doing the wrong thing who's had, 8 years of
Plus.
medical training.
Right. Minimum.
So
Well, and not only expected to know and to catch it and to see it, but also be confident enough to speak up and say something and actually be listened to. I mean,
Yes,
that's
and then
asking a lot. I mean, we've got like little 22-year-old brand new nurses here with an associate's degree. Again, not against, but expected to
right,
call
like the
out their
safety net.
physicians. Mm-hmm.
And the question always is, why didn't the nurse speak louder, speak like to more people? Why
Push
didn't she
more.
recognize it? And so anyway, to my story. I was we have to get a consent before we start elective procedures, and inductions are elective procedures, and a physician hadn't done the consent yet. Legally, a physician's supposed to do the consent,
Right.
or a provider, so like a nurse practitioner or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so this patient didn't have one, so we couldn't start her induction. And so I was asking the residents, who are medical doctors, although they're still learning.
They're baby doctors.
Yeah, they're
In this case, they're literally baby doctors.
yeah. So I asked them to go and consent this woman, and I was like, yeah, the doctor didn't, the attending physician didn't come in and do it, even though the patient's been here a couple of days and it was missed, and the nurse taking care of her before didn't catch it, but then the nurse now did. And the physician's like kind of upset because the nurses didn't remind him of it. And then the resident said, yeah, that should have happened. And I was like, hold up. I was like, they're like, he's all, yeah, that's their fault. I'm like, no. First of all, no. It's an OB's responsibility to get the consent. And the nurses are part of their job is to make sure that they have a consent and all of the paperwork is right. But it is not their fault. This induction is not started yet. It is
Right.
the OB's fault. And I need a doctor to go fix it. I was just so like, no, no, it is not nursing's fault. And the nurse is the one that caught it. So you're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome that we caught that you didn't do your job. And yes, it's a minor detail, and yes, you have a lot on your plate, and yes, you have other things going on, but this is something we can't do. It's not in our scope of practice. You need to do, and ergo, that's your responsibility. And we helped catch that for you.
Right, and so many physicians are so good at doing those little things, like it's
Oh,
just part of their
absolutely.
routine. And so when you get one that's just like, oh, can't be bothered with it, and this is just so silly that I have to do this, and in order for you to do your job, I'm just like, come on, everybody else on this team is doing this. Why can't you do this?
Right.
It's just
Just
a piece of paper.
more the mentality that, instead of, I mean, if it's, if a physician gives an order and a nurse completely disregards a direct order or something, that's not what we're talking about. That's a completely, different issue. Then, of course, as a physician, I can absolutely understand that they would be upset. I asked you to draw a stat CBC and you didn't do it. Okay, yes, very much so. But in this case, yes, it was their obligation, not the nurse's obligation. The nurse actually did their job. The nurse went to check for the paperwork and it wasn't there, and so asked for it to be done. But that doesn't, in turn, make it the nurse's fault. It was not done. So, Carrie, when it comes to this quote, this Kissinger quote about no permanent enemies and no permanent friends. So how does that apply to the nurse physician communication or collaboration?
Well, I think that, like you were saying, that we have such completely different training. And I think part of the problem is that we need to be trained together. There's so much overlap in nursing and physician training, medical training, but we do it completely separate. And I feel like if we could do like more overlap on the core, like the core curriculum, that would be better. Because then we would have some kind of like relationship even starting in school.
Right.
But really, when she was when the speaker was talking about that quote, she was really referring to empowering nurses and like having a voice at the table. And so physicians have a very strong medical lobby in every state, and nurses don't. And so we're underrepresented in legislation, policy making, just everything. And so having physician friends to help advocate for nursing is important. Nurses and physicians have been kind of battling for a long time with their lobbies, and it's really time to get together at the same table and think about us as a team together and think about the patients, because like when you said like doctors, like physicians, they give orders to nurses and nurses do them. Really, I think what nurses and physicians need to do is think of the patient as their patient together
Right.
and like collaborate more on the care plan, because the nurse knows what's going on with the patient because they're with the patients 24/7.
Right. And I love it when my physicians do that, when they take the time to come up to me. I mean, I know they're busy. I see their pockets bulging with, their cards and all their patient load. And I see them on the phone and answering their pages all day long. But it's great when they take even that 30 seconds to just literally sit down with that patient on their mind and look at me like, how's so and so doing today? What's going on, and to actually not just look at the chart, not just look at their labs, not just go talk to the patient, which are all important steps, obviously, but to sit there and actually ask their bedside nurse, What's really
Yes.
going on? How is our treatment plan being carried out? How are they handling that? Not just reading our, our little hurried documentation that we are putting in the computer. And so that makes a huge difference. And I will say, I will give a shout out to the physician teams that I have worked with. They have been amazing. And every time I hear about nursing physician, discord, I know it exists, but it really has been so minimal for me. And I'm so lucky for that because I work with just some phenomenal physicians and mid levels, and the teams. They're just stellar. Maybe I just must be really lucky because I have been very fortunate in that, right, that they listen. I don't know if it's their training in the region that I'm in, or the hospital systems that I've been in, and that's something that they focus on. But regardless, they just seem to be really driven to get the nurses buy-in and to get that in, just like you're saying, involvement in the treatment plan and modification of the treatment plan when we're saying this is not working, that they really tend to listen to that. Or if we're saying, why are we doing this, could we maybe do that, or could you explain to me? And I've just been very fortunate in that, right. And so I don't have that nurse versus physicians history. I mean, I've certainly had conflicts, but that's more just been, I've had conflicts with nurses as well. It's more been just interpersonal communication issues when somebody just had a bad day, or we've misunderstood each other. And so I'm more inclined to say, the with the no permanent friends, no permanent enemies is, to me, my interpretation is sometimes we're on the, we should all be on the same team, and sometimes we're on the same page, and sometimes we're completely opposite, and we want, it almost seems like, different things, even though our end goal is still, patient care. And so I agree, Carrie. I'd like to see us be able to be more on that same page and not have, yes, they have their role as physician and provider, and we have our role as nurse, but maybe blur the lines a little bit and be more collaborative, because I think we would only see better patient outcomes if we do that.
No, I completely agree. And I think that because I also have worked with amazing physicians, and I do now, I work with some of the most skilled, knowledgeable physicians in the world,
Right.
where I work at St. Mungo's. And I'm very lucky. Like, I mean, they're the ones that are writing the textbooks, and like all the literature comes from them, not all of it, but like a ton of like great stuff, and they're always doing research, like super awesome. But I think it's a regional thing as well, that nurses are looked at more as they were maybe like 30 years ago. Like, I think in some regions they just haven't, the profession hasn't evolved in the same way it has on the West Coast.
Right. And I think that's absolutely true. There's definitely changes or differences depending on where you're at. And I'm sure through, if we were to go to different industrialized nations, or, throughout the world, that we would see similarities in some and completely different situations in others. So I agree.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
But her takeaway was physicians are not enemies, and we need to work together with them. And I was like, yes, because I think we were talking mostly about um, like full practice authority for like nurse practitioners, advanced practice nurses, and how we really need our physicians to back that,
Oh,
to really get it
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
to go forward in every state.
Yeah. And we're not your enemies. We're not your competition. When we work together,
No.
and those instances that, we work together with our physicians and with our teams, it is just beautiful. In those moments where we've had crises, and you're working as a smooth team, it is just wonderful. That is when I leave my job those days, and I'm like, yes, that is medicine. That is what I'm supposed to do. That is why I became a nurse and chose to do what I do, and all the other crazy stuff that goes with it. It's for those moments.
I know. When you said that, I was thinking about, like, I don't know if people remember ER,
Mhm.
but I used to watch that show. And I loved it.
Oh,
And
I was
then,
addicted in high school.
yes, okay, so remember the nurse? She was so smart. I can't remember her
Carrie,
name.
Nurse Carrie. Her name was Carrie.
Was it? No, I think
Or are
no,
you
not
talking
the.
about Juliana Margulies?
I'm not talking about the one with the big brown hair. It was like the smaller one. She became a doctor later.
Yeah, her name was Carrie.
Oh, of course she's awesome then. Well, anyway, I remember how like they showed in her plot line like how difficult it was to be seen as like smart and contributing to like the hospital as a nurse. And like her solution was really to become a physician. And I feel like, and I've been told that too before, like you're so smart, you should
You
go
should
to
be a
med school.
doctor. Yes. Yes.
And
Oh, and it was
I'm
scandalous
like,
when she finally announced that she was going through medical school and she had been keeping that a secret. Oh, good land.
yeah, it
It was like
was.
it was like she was sleeping with a doctor in the call room or something.
Yeah, she
It
was like
was
a traitor. She was a
uh-huh.
traitor, and then also like the physicians were like,
Yes, she was not wanted by
you're
either
trying to be
camp.
part of our club. So
Right.
she was feeling it from all sides. But I didn't like. There's nothing wrong with being physicians. I love physicians. I just don't want to be one, and I
Right.
want to be a nurse. That's why I became a nurse. I wanted to be a nurse, and I feel like there's plenty of room for smart nurses
Oh, absolutely.
in
Absolutely.
nursing.
There are a
So if
lot of
you're a
smart
physician that
nurses.
happens to be listening to this, it's not a compliment, but I appreciate it. It's not-
And we love you. We love your hard work.
yeah. But we don't want all of the smart people to go into medicine. We want smart nurses
We
too.
want, yeah, we want smart nurses. Please stay. Become advanced practice nurses or whatever. But
Yeah.
so,
Oh gosh.
okay. We have learned that when we work with physicians as a collaborative team, that is just the best possible scenario, and our patients really win.
Yeah, it's better for everybody. Karen, we have a new segment, and it is the funniest questions and or comments our patients have expressed to us.
And boy, are there some good ones.
Yes,
I feel like I should have
yes,
been writing them
and
down all these years.
yeah, I know. I always am like, I need to write a book because these are so
I
funny.
know.
Um, I had a lovely lady. She was like a young mom, and I was working postpartum, and I walked in the room. Like she had called me into the room to ask me a question, and I was like, "Yes, how can I help you?" And she asked me, this, mind you, this is after she had pushed like an 8-pound baby out of her vagina. She said, "Why does my vagina hurt?"
What?
And I couldn't even talk for a second. I was like, is there more? I was like waiting for her to elaborate. So maybe there was like a different pain other than like your vagina just stretched around an 8-pound baby. So yes, it's going to hurt. Like I didn't know what to say. So I just like took a breath in and I was like, that's really normal after a delivery. And like I started talking about this, the dynamics or like the mechanism of birth, and she's like, oh, okay. I was like, do you want an ice pack? And she's like, yes. And that was the end of it. But that I will never forget, just the look of like bewilderment on her face, like my vagina hurts. Why?
That's pretty awesome. Was this her first kid?
Yes. I mean, she's very, very young.
But still, I mean, did she not know where babies? Apparently, she doesn't know where babies come from or how they get
No,
there
and
or
I
come
think
out.
that I she probably had an epidural. She probably had an epidural, so it probably wore off, and then she was like, "Huh."
Oh my gosh. That's awful.
Okay. All right. So do you
I'm
have
just
one?
relishing. I'm like, I'm still chuckling at that. That's awesome. Okay, so I've got to stop laughing about your patient.
Bless her heart.
Bless her heart. She's gonna be back there, and she's not gonna know how she got pregnant.
Oh,
My,
you're.
I'm just saying. I always love it when they are watching their IV lines and they're like, "Oh my gosh, there's a bubble," and they're worried about those like ultra lethal bubbles in their IV lines that are like nano milliliters in size.
I
And I
know.
try
It's
to
that
be
movie.
reassuring.
So One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest have like ruined IVs for everybody. Everyone thinks that they're going to get an embolism if they
I
get like a
know.
one
And I
bubble.
said, you know the little teeny tiny carbonated soda bubbles you get in, like in your Coke, and they're like, yeah. And I said, that's a lot. These are way smaller than that. And they're like, oh, but IV tubing just looks so big. And I have people all the time.
It
Can you
does.
get can you get that out? It's getting closer. It's getting. And I'm like, if I see a bubble that
I
I'm
know.
concerned about, believe you me, I'm gonna be the first one getting that out of there because I don't want to be pushing on your chest anytime soon. So. I did not stretch today. And so,
And truly, I mean, just so everyone knows, like, we don't want to put a bubble in
no,
you,
no, no.
but
But
you could get like a whole tube full, like all the whole tubing full of air, and you'd just be fine.
yeah. So, I mean, if we see one, we're probably gonna get rid of it. And I do. I don't like bubbles in my tubing either because I'm a nurse and I'm a little OCD, and so I will certainly get in there with my syringe and draw it back or flush it through, like into the trash can or something. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
love it. And then I love it when I did my first bubble study during an echo. Even knowing that, I was like, wait a minute, you want me to do what? I was like, don't we need like an EKG in here? So I was getting traumatized.
I know. It is, and the way that the little menacing bubble like bounces around down the tube, and it kind of just like hangs out by the port, and then it
Yes.
slowly goes around, and
Freaks
then
them
it goes
out.
in, and they're just like,
I'm
ah.
gonna die. They're calling their spouse.
And of course, they're not going to trust Nurse Ratchet at the
No, they're like,
bedside.
of course you're gonna tell me that bubble's fine. You don't wanna get lose your license, lady. So
Oh my gosh, I have one more I have to share.
okay.
I've so this actually has happened more than once,
Oh.
and I just think it's so funny when this happens. And bless their hearts too, dads, especially dads of like first time. I mean, first time dads, they've never probably seen a vaginal delivery,
Oh
and they
yes.
don't understand that there's a thing called caput, and that a baby's skull is made to like cone. It like
Mhm.
conforms to the birth canal, so it's easier to fit out through the pelvis. And at first, you only see like a tiny, tiny bit of the head, and then like the the caput will come out, and I've had several dads look at me with so much concern and ask, "Is the baby's head really that small?" Because it looks like a doll head. Because it's just like the very top of the head. I'm like,
Right.
"Oh no, more's coming. More's
You're like,
coming.
no,
Don't
no,
worry." And then
there's
they're
way
like,
more than that. Your wife wishes it was that small. Oh my goodness.
"Oh man." And then watching their face when they do see the rest of it come out, I'm like, "Oh man." My Oh
You just gave
gosh.
birth to a
But yeah, I'm
Barbie.
like, oh no. Like sometimes you just need to stay up on the north end of the bed because the south end is too much for some
Just hang
people,
up by her
and
head
that's
and
okay.
tell her how amazing she is.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly. Okay, well that's our segment.
Okay, so don't hate me, but my mic and my headset may or may not have been in my lap for the first 45 seconds of that. And I look down and I'm like, "Oh crap."
I think it'll
So,
be okay.
I don't know.
Do I need to say it over?
The part where we introed this segment, hang on. How about I Can I pause it and listen, or is that going to create a whole new recording? I wonder. It's probably going to create a whole new recording.
Well, I'll just say it over.
I'm so sorry. I looked down and
No,
I was
that's
so
okay.
caught up in this story. Okay, so introduce the new segment and just I'm still gonna laugh. I can guarantee it. So just get the
Okay.
first part of the story, and then I got right. I put it on right into that, like right after I started laughing.
Yeah, and I remember I made my teacher really sad because I talked about Parkinson's, and like I said some stuff about Parkinson's that was just factual, but her father had Parkinson's and she was really
Aw.
offended, and I didn't know.
Oh,
Oh, here's my husband. Hey, I'm podcasting.
hi.
Welcome home. She wants to sleep in here. She's sleeping.
She has her
What?
own bed, you know.
Oh, push her back on the bed.
Did she fall
guess-
off?
No, she's like half, or her legs were like half off the bed. Sorry your power went out. What's up with that?
He's like, I don't know anything about that. I'm not going to talk about it.
They just moved to a new spot. I guess it's not great yet. I don't know.
He just wanted
Love
to
you.
come home. Well, that worked, but you're still working. All right, time to give some props to our sponsors, Carrie. Who are our sponsors this week? Long awkward silence.
It will not be awkward when I cut it out. Unless I forget to cut it out.
There was two times that I said you're cutting this out last time, and they were still in there.
well, one of them I left it on purpose, I think.
Yes, it was funny.
So
Oh, good land. This is going to be another edit right here, Carrie. Because I hate these big pauses. My brain's just not working right now. Baby, Rye, Irishman, who plays Colin Farrell. I can't wait. Can we enter?
No, but since I know you really want that book, maybe it'll just show up at your house.
Maybe a birthday present or Christmas
Yeah,
present.
oh,
I'm
I
just
know.
Saying. I concur, fellow Mediwitch. Pip pip.
Okay, what would a Mediwitch say?
That's what I'm trying to think. Like,
Huh.
you know, I'm thinking of all the ones that Ron says his mom says, like, Mayborn witches marry muggles. Ooh, bunch.
Okay.
Ryan, come here, please. What's something a Mediwitch would say, like, signing off, or, like, when she says goodbye to her patients? Like, what would be their little canned phrase? Like,
Oh,
keep your wands clean and your spells safe.
I know.
You know, some kind of stupid little cheesy thing like that.
what about Okay, well, I'm going to step out of the room for a minute, but I see that you have your wand at your bedside, and just use that if you need to get a hold of me.
Ryan says they say something in the book about clean cauldrons. Remember, clean cauldrons make something potions or whatever. Oh gosh, he's going to the literature. I love you, Ryan. Then he goes like right to it.